Markets are cyclical, and money often flows from one sector to another. Understanding sector rotation can position you ahead of major moves. Why do some sectors suddenly heat up while others cool down? The answer lies in sector rotation. Let's explore exactly how to use this to your advantage. Okay, listen, we'll start out at the top. What exactly is sector rotation? It's when, one stock, typically the way this happens is one stock, like a big name, like a Tesla in EVs, or a Meta in social media, or maybe an oil and gas company, gets some very positive news and starts trending and draws a lot of media attention. So we love this in day trading because, hey, maybe we're not trading Exxon, maybe we're not trading Apple, maybe we're not trading Meta, but we do love these low price plays that are in the same sector. So what happens is that big name starts trending, starts drawing all the attention, and you'll start seeing all the $1, $2, $3, $4, $5 stocks that heat up with that. And these create really arguably some of the best day trades and swing trades, because while that big name is only moving 1 or 2%, in real stock land, people get excited about that. Okay. In your 401k and your IRA, hey, that's great. But as short-term traders, we want the big moves, 20%, 50%, 100%, 200% in a day. And because of the higher names, more expensive stocks, bigger floats, bigger market caps, listen, you have a 2-3% move in NVIDIA, you're talking billions of dollars in market cap when you've got one of the highest valuations of any company, but that creates small moves. Now you get a small cap stock that's in the AI or chip making sector like in NVIDIA, it could make exponential moves relative to that. So we always want to be tracking the overall news and the overall sectors for what's hot, and then rotating over to the low price plays that are in those sectors. Now, Stocks to Trade has a lot of great tools for this. We actually have scans and related filters that can actually allow you to type in one of those big name stocks and instantly get the whole list of other companies that are in that sector in a similar business. Then you can filter by volume, float, price action, etc., to identify those. Now, getting a little ahead of myself here because I want to set you up for identifying the early signs of these sector shifts, okay? So the indicators that we look for is money flow. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, the stock market is money moving from one sector, from one stock, from one pocket, from one index to another. So we always want to be tracking that money flow. Now, the way you do that is, you use your scans looking for these stocks that are breaking out of patterns, breaking out of ranges, breaking out to 52-week highs, multi-year highs on volume. That's the key. We don't want to look for the big name stocks that are just slowly marching up and no one really cares about. So if you combine your volume scans with your price action scans, you'll start seeing trends emerge. Like I have scans that I think it was a couple months ago, nuclear stocks were starting to heat up. I have one of these money flow scans and there's like 20 stocks on there and 11 of them were in the nuclear sector, okay? And most of them, bigger names, slower moving stocks that I didn't really care about trading. But when I saw that money flow on that scan, I'm like, oh, wow, I got to start looking for these low price plays in that sector because sure enough, few days later, they all started popping off. So even if you don't trade the big name stocks, still be keeping an eye on them. Like a lot of times people see my watch list and they'll ask, why is NVIDIA on there? Why is Tesla on there? Why is Apple on there? Because when they start heating up, I know the sympathy plays will start moving with them. Now, some other tools that are great to use tracking these sectors is a lot of the ETFs, indexes too. So there's tons and tons of ETFs. Typically, we sometimes day trade them, but we don't really care about them on a day-to-day basis except for recognizing, again, what's hot. So if you go to the list, you'll see, we've got energy, electric vehicles, social media, every sector you can think of has Chinese stocks. I mean, every sector you can think of has an associated ETFs. One thing I use is heat maps of all of the sector ETFs. So when I see, and if you're familiar with a heat map, it'll show you, the volume and the price movement of that particular sector in ETF. So you get a bigger box for the bigger move and the bigger volume. So now you can have basically a dashboard real time to see what is heating up. So definitely, even if you don't trade the ETFs, the leveraged ETFs and the index ETFs, keep an eye on them, okay? Now, some other strategies to trade during these rotation period is always have a list of watch list. If you're in the daily income trader system, you know that I don't even know how many sector watch lists of the low-priced momentum plays, so they're already ready to go. Now, you do have to have some maintenance. You do have to be adding stocks and deleting stocks and maintaining those, but a lot of times people are like, actually, the most recent example, about a month ago, the quantum computing plays got hot, and I instantly shared with members this list of about 25 low-price quantum plays, and they're like, well, how'd you have this list so fast? Well, I was doing the work in advance. So I've got tons of, and Google Docs is great for this. It's a simple tool. It's delayed, but you can have the price action and the volume updated somewhat real time, but then you have that whole list. You can even sort them by float, sort them by price moves. Like I highlight ones on that list that have been big runners in the past. So I kind of have that mental database, but I can quickly go to that sheet, have the full sector, and then I have highlighted the big runners because we know when it comes to former runners, stocks that have ran big in the past tend to run big again. So always be a student of the game, always be building your data so that you can be there first. So when a lot of people were wondering, hey, what's the quantum stocks? I already had a list of 25. Next thing we always want to be cognizant of is risk management. That's our number one goal, okay? Obviously, we want to make money as traders, but our number one goal is always to control our risk. You never want to get wiped out on any one trade. Losing's part of the game. Keep your losses small. Live to fight another day. Understand that when sectors dry up, when they end, they usually end fast, okay? So you have this week-long, multi-week period where, like quantum computing, as of right now, is an example of that. Last fall, amazing. We kind of got in the beginning of the year, they did nothing. This spring again, they heated up again. Right now, they're doing nothing, okay? So that's why we always have a trade plan. We always have a contingency for what happens when the sector moves on, okay? The market's very fickle. It's always looking for the next thing. So when they end, they typically end and then go dormant for a few months. So if you're aware of that, you have your all of your trade plan written out, you have a boredom stop contingency, you know what happens, you move on, and you're not sitting in that stock while that sector dies off, and then you're hoping and waiting for weeks and months that it'll come back. You just cut it, move on, now you're ready for the next stock. So that being said, what sectors are you currently watching? Listen, you might be watching this video the day it drops or a week later or a month later. What's the hot sectors? What are you watching? And what do you think is the next hot sector? I mean, I don't like guessing games, but a lot of the times you can kind of read the tea leaves and know what's coming next. So let me know in the comments. Now, I mentioned a lot of things in this video. You know, I talked about the sector watch list. I talked about scans. I talked a lot about the tools in stocks to trade. You know, if you always feel like you're behind the curve, like everyone's always already there, they already know the stocks, they know the hot sector. I tell you, the big difference between those people and you that feels like you're always behind is they're putting in daily work. And I think the best way to put in daily work is to check out the Daily Income Trader system. It's a system where we use stocks to trade, we use all the scans, we use the Oracle algorithm, do multiple live webinars a day, so we're always ahead of the curve. So if you want to be ahead of the curve instead of behind it all the time, hit that link below, check out the Daily Income Trader system. Would love to work with you every day.